Stop right there. If you're watching this feeling like life is passing you by, like everyone else figured out the code except you, you're about to discover why. And it has nothing to do with luck. Nobody tells you this when you're growing up, but here's the reality. Life feels overwhelming only when you play small in a world designed to reward those who dare to play big. You weren't weak, you weren't late, you weren't unlucky. You simply didn't realize the force you were carrying inside you. While others learned to move with intention, to think several steps ahead, to stay composed when chaos erupted around them, you were taught something different. Be nice. Stay humble. Wait for the right moment. But here's the truth that changes everything. There is no right moment. There is only the person bold enough to act. They trained their confidence. They sharpened their discipline. They walked into rooms with the posture of someone who already belonged there. And you entered with honesty, effort, and humility. Great qualities, but incomplete without strategy. That's why life felt uncertain. That's why opportunity slipped through your fingers. That's why your potential stayed hidden in the shadows. But here's where everything shifts. There comes a moment, a life-changing, identity-shifting moment, when something inside you clicks. When you stop seeing life as a threat and start seeing it as an arena. When you stop fearing challenges and start hunting them down. When you stop waiting for direction and start creating your own damn path. And in that moment, your confidence rises, your decisions sharpen, your ambition wakes up. Not because the world suddenly treated you better, but because you transformed into someone the world must take seriously. This is the turning point. The moment your old self fades and the stronger, clearer, more deliberate version of you steps forward. The version that speaks less and moves with purpose. The version that stops doubting and starts executing. The version that becomes impossible to ignore. Let me be crystal clear about something. The greatest power you can ever gain is not control over others, it's control over yourself. Because once you master your mind, you stop moving like someone reacting to life and start moving like someone directing it. Most people wake up every day in a passive state. They let circumstances shape them. They let emotions dictate their energy. They let other people's opinions control their confidence. They're giving away the very thing that determines their destiny, their mindset. But the ones who rise, the ones you look at and wonder, how do they stay so focused? They aren't built differently. They simply discovered a fundamental truth. Power belongs to those who think strategically, act intentionally, and move decisively, not emotionally. When you start thinking like this, life stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling navigable. You begin to notice that people fall into two groups. The reactors, the ones who complain, hesitate, procrastinate, and then wonder why nothing changes. The strategists, the ones who observe, adapt, execute, and rise because they refuse to move blindly. Transformation begins the moment you step out of the first group and into the second. This isn't about becoming cold. It isn't about becoming ruthless. It's about becoming deliberate. Because here's what most people don't understand. They don't fail from lack of talent. They fail from lack of direction. A person who fears opinions will always remain smaller than their own potential. You rise the moment you stop explaining yourself and start executing yourself. You rise when you stop asking for permission and start giving yourself instructions. You rise when you stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. Let me tell you something that will change how you see your life. Life is not random. Your habits write your future in real time. Every time you scroll endlessly, your future shrinks. Every time you waste your morning, your potential slows. Every time you delay your goals until the right moment, you give life permission to hold you back. But the moment you begin your day with clarity, the moment you move with purpose, the moment you choose discipline over comfort, something powerful happens. Your mind sharpens, your ambition strengthens, your presence changes. People notice. Not because you're talking about change, but because you've become the kind of person who doesn't talk much anymore. You act, you build, you decide, you execute. Your silence becomes your strength. Your consistency becomes your reputation. Your discipline becomes your advantage. Now, if you want to truly rise in life, you must learn to read people with the same precision a general reads a battlefield. Because once you understand people, you stop being confused. You stop being manipulated. You stop being blindsided. Here's what most people don't realize. People are not mysterious. People are not unpredictable. They are simply unread. The truth is simple. Words lie. Behavior never does. Someone can speak kindly and still resent you. Someone can support you publicly and envy you privately. Someone can compliment you today and compete with you tomorrow. A strategic mind watches the pattern, not the performance. Once you shift your attention from what people say to what people show, your entire world becomes easier to navigate. Everyone acts from self-interest. The wise accept this. The naive resist it. This is not cynicism, this is clarity. Another fundamental truth. People respect strength, not passivity. You can be kind, you can be honest, you can be respectful. These are good traits, but none of them matter if you lack strength beneath them. When people sense insecurity, they take advantage. When they sense desperation, they distance themselves. When they sense lack of boundaries, they push harder. When they sense fear, they dominate. But when people sense strength, quiet, calm, consistent strength, their behavior changes instantly. Strength doesn't need volume. It doesn't need aggression. It doesn't need dominance. It needs only one thing: certainty. A person who is certain of who they are cannot be manipulated, cannot be intimidated, cannot be pushed, cannot be derailed. Before we go deeper, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. Not to support the channel, but to support the future you. The one who refuses to live small ever again. Let's talk about something most people completely misunderstand. Power is not only what you have. It's what people sense the moment you enter a room. Before you speak a single word, before you show a single intention, people are already judging your presence. It's presence built intentionally, maintained strategically, projected effortlessly. A powerful presence starts with a simple principle: speak less, say more. People who ramble reveal too much. People who over-explain lose respect. People who talk constantly give away their leverage. Your silence is not emptiness, it's control. Every great strategist knows this. You don't win influence by being the loudest. You win it by being the one everyone pays attention to when you finally speak. Never be the most emotional person in the room. Emotional instability kills authority. When you overreact, you hand your power away. When you stay composed, you silently rise above everyone else. Composure is dominance without aggression. Composure is confidence without noise. Composure is leadership without effort. A powerful presence is also built through standards, not the ones you announce, the ones you enforce. You don't tolerate disrespect. You don't chase those who pull away. You don't explain your worth. You don't beg for attention. You simply live by your standards and let others adjust or exit. Walk with purpose even when the path isn't clear. Most people wait until they feel ready. A strategist moves and creates readiness along the way. Confidence comes from momentum, not perfection. When you carry yourself like someone who respects themselves, the world begins to mirror that respect back to you. Now let's talk about the battlefield that matters most: your mind. Your mind is the first battlefield and the only one that truly decides your destiny. People think they lose because life is unfair. But the truth is simpler. They lose because they never learned how to control the voice inside their own head. But the people who rise, the ones who look unshakable, they're not fearless. They simply learned one skill. Their emotions respond to them, not the other way around. While most people chase motivation, a strategist builds self-command. Where others say, "I don't feel like it today," a strategist says, "It gets done anyway." That is how momentum is built. That is how confidence is built. That is how identity is built. Your feelings don't define you. Your actions do. Emotional people are easy to predict, easy to manipulate, and easy to defeat. Your power comes from remaining calm, deliberate, and unbothered in moments where others collapse. You get anxious? You move anyway. You get tired? You move anyway. You get insecure? You move anyway. Action in the presence of discomfort is what builds the warrior mind. Self-respect doesn't grow from being perfect. It grows from keeping promises you make to yourself. Every time you keep a commitment, wake up on time, say no to distractions, train your focus, work when you don't feel like it, you stack proof that you are someone worth trusting. That is where true confidence comes from, not compliments, not validation, not applause, but from knowing, I do what I say I will do. Here's something you need to understand right now. You don't rise because you're the best. You rise because you refuse to stop. Most people start strong and fade quickly. They get excited, they get inspired, they get motivated. And then life hits them once, and they collapse back into old habits. But the strategic mind sees it differently. Resistance means you're growing. Slow progress means you're still ahead. Discomfort means you're entering territory most people are too soft to explore. The world doesn't reward the person with the best talent. It rewards the person with the best endurance. That's why momentum is king. You don't need to make giant leaps. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to feel powerful every day. You just need to keep moving. Every task completed is a vote for the person you're becoming. Your future is shaped by the small actions you repeat, not the big actions you rarely finish. Once you lock into your rhythm, you're dangerous. Because now you move even when tired. You focus even when tempted. You execute even when unmotivated. Your discipline becomes your aura. Your consistency becomes your credibility. Your habits become your reputation. Your work ethic becomes your advantage. Persistence is far more powerful than brilliance. Brilliance shines once. Persistence shines every day. Brilliance is admired. Persistence is feared. Brilliance gets attention. Persistence gets results. Your power is not in how fast you rise. It's in how long you keep rising. Let me tell you something that will change everything. Every human has two lives. The one they settle for and the one they're truly capable of. Most people never reach the second life because they never make the decision to step into it. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who avoid pressure. They're the ones who learn to grow under it. This is the final evolution. Becoming the person who shapes their own reality instead of being shaped by it. At this level, everything changes. Your mindset changes. Your posture changes. Your expectations change. Your tolerance for mediocrity disappears. You no longer seek approval from people who haven't built anything. You no longer fear failure because you now see it as data, not defeat. You reserve your energy for your mission, your goals, your standards, and your rise. Opportunities start aligning with your ambition. People start treating you with newfound respect. Doors you never imagined start unlocking. At this stage, you no longer compete with others. You compete with the weakest version of yourself and destroy him every day. And the more you do this, the more you transform into someone who cannot be ignored, cannot be doubted, and cannot be stopped. This is the destiny you're walking into. A life of intentional action, a life where your presence has weight, a life where your mind is sharp, a life where your influence is undeniable, a life where you don't just live, you lead. Remember this. You've already walked further than the version of you who used to hesitate. You've already become stronger than the version of you who used to overthink. Now comes the final step. Commit fully, not halfway, not someday, not when you feel ready. Commit now. Because a person committed to their rise is a person the world cannot deny. And before you go, hit that like button and subscribe. Not for me, but for the version of you that refuses to live small ever again. Let's build that future together.